to the presentation.
Morning.
Morning.
We can see you.
Hello. Hello.
Sophia, do you want to talk and then we'll...
I will. Again, this is Sophia. I'm with Canfield Place Assisted Living in Beaverton. And thank you all for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to have two amazing colleagues who are so vested with our seniors to offer us solutions for the time when we all need to downsize. Michael Peabody is a senior real estate specialist with Century 21. Theresa is the founder of Soft Landing Solutions, and I'm going to let them take it away.
All right, well, I will get rolling here. So I think what I'd like to do is have everybody mute themselves just so, in case we get dogs or anything. And then if you have a comment, you can always unmute yourself. And we are going to be recording this. And so, you know, if you want it in the future, we can make it available to you. And the same thing, if you decide you want to see or copies of the PowerPoint slides, you can certainly do that. So let's go ahead and get rolling here. So I'm going to go first. I always like to let people kind of know, it's kind of like when you go to church, you kind of want to know how long the sermon is. And so we should be done by about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So hopefully you guys have, you know, we'll take 3 potty breaks and a lunch break. No, seriously, Theresa and I, we will be less than an hour today. Anything longer than that is really too long. So let me get started here. And we do have a chat box if you're familiar with how to do that. So down at the bottom of your screen, if you click on chat, so when I'm doing my presentation, if you have some questions, if you just want to type it in there, then Theresa will either interrupt me or we'll get to those questions. And then we can, at the end of my presentation, I'll just ask you if you have any questions and we can, you know, unmute at that time. And we'll just kind of go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and put up a PowerPoint. And you may want to, in your upper right-hand corner, there's a little thing that you can click that says Speaker View. So if we do Speaker View, that will help you. Like right now, you can see all of us. If you go to Speaker View, it's only going to show my lovely face probably. You kind of hover your, I can see, Robert, you guys are trying to kind of figure it out. So if you kind of go to the upper right-hand corner and kind of hover your mouse over there, it will kind of bring up the speaker view. It's not the end of the world if we don't do it. Is that right, Theresa? Yeah. Teresa's muted too, so.
It's not the end of the world. It probably says gallery view right now. So if you click where it says gallery view, it'll give you your options.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it?
Okay.
perfect.
All right, we're gonna share screen here and we're gonna go. So this is just a quick introduction about Mike, and you can all see it, correct?
We can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So even though we're in this serious time of COVID, and we all would admit that it's really, really serious, there are things that are going on, you know, we still need to try to keep some kind of a, you know, happy, smiling attitude. And that's what I've tried to do throughout all of this. You know, there's times we need to be serious, but sometimes we just need to, you know, just kind of sit back and take it easy. And so just always try to find the humor in everything. If you're a Facebook person, one of the things I posted on Facebook yesterday was, I was sitting there thinking, you know, right just before COVID hit, everyone decided on Facebook they were going to do avatars, which was kind of like a, you know, thing that was a representation of their face. And one thing COVID did was, you know, got rid of all the avatars. So, you know, just the little chuckle is just what we need to do. And when people are deciding to move into or out of their home, it is like leaving your best friend. A lot of people lived in their homes for, 25, 30 years. I have clients that we just actually got their house sold yesterday, and they had lived in their house for 35 years. And, it took them a while to get around to actually making the decision to make the move. But even though, you get to keep all the memories that you had from that home. So even though you're downsizing, maybe moving into a community or, making the change, all of those memories that you built up in there get to go with you. And when you're, working with a good downsizing specialist, they're going to make sure that there are ways for you to take certain of those mementos that will spring those memories with you to the new place that you're moving to. So I have a friend in Wisconsin who is a senior real estate specialist, and he did a survey of about 700 seniors. And, one of the first things he did was, why are seniors procrastinating with their move? And Theresa will probably go into this even more so, but, lots of times it's just overwhelming. We've got boxes up in the attic or down in the basement. We've got, this closet over here. And, what are we going to do with all of this stuff? And so it gets just so overwhelming that it's almost easier to not do anything. But one of the things that happens is that a lot of our experience has been working with seniors is that if they don't start developing a plan, eventually there will be a plan and you may not get to hardly make the decisions for it, because there seem to be kind of two different things that happen when we're working with seniors. One is they're thinking about making the move, and so they've got a plan and they're working all the way through the plan, and they've even set it out on a calendar, and they're getting to that point where, okay, it's time to move. Then the others we have is they've had some kind of catastrophic thing happen, either health-wise or family-wise, and suddenly they've got to move and we have no time to do the planning. And we can accommodate either one of those situations. Theresa can certainly do that. But if we kind of stop the procrastination and move a little bit quicker, that just seems to have the best outcome at that time. So probably the number one reason that people, don't want to move for their home is just simply the unknown. I'm really content with where I am. I know where everything is. And, we've had people that say, you know what, they can carry me out in the box. And, until that, I'm staying, in this home. And I like to tell a story. So my mom is, she's now 89, but 5 years ago, my wife and I were visiting with her, and we just noticed she was starting to lose weight. My father had passed away about 5 years earlier, and they were kind of one of those families where my father made most of the decisions, especially the financial decisions. And my mother still drove, and we finally figured out that for her typical day was to get in her car, drive 2 miles to Fred Meyer's, walk through with a shopping cart, maybe buy some ice cream, and then she would, on her way home, stop at McDonald's and buy a supersized French fries, eat half of that for lunch and the other half at night. And she was really getting lonely, and we didn't really realize that. She only lived a mile from her church, but she quit even going to her church. And so finally we had the discussion and hooked her up with a person that does senior placement. It's like a realtor that helps them find communities. And she found a community, moved into that, and she has just blossomed since then. It's like she's a completely new woman. She now has friends. In fact, just last night, our son came down from Seattle, and he was asking about grandma and the lockdown. And he said, maybe you should just bring grandma out of there and let her live in the spare bedroom while all this is going on. And my wife, Phyllis, had just talked to my mom 2 days earlier, and she's happy. She's fine with lockdown because she still, even though she has to wear a mask, she gets to see her friends. And I'm sure Sophia could probably say, that's very typical of the people that come to Canfield.
Absolutely, and you're speaking, yes.
And yeah, exactly. And many times, you know, we see, or it's been our experience that, you know, people will make the move into the community and they'll just try it. And usually after about a month, they will say, you know, it's the best thing. We should have done it earlier. So I think it's just kind of the fear of the unknown, what we're going to do with all of our stuff, and, you know, that type of thing. So you end up just kind of in limbo, you know, you're really not, you know, you can't, if in baseball, if you're on first base and you need to go to second, and you may have to steal that base, you can't just be out there kind of in the middle going back and forth, back and forth. You just kind of have to kind of make the decision. And so, you know, part of what I do is I help my clients make the decision. I would say that probably 25% of the meetings I have with people, and we're just talking about their home and what they need to do, and they sometimes end up staying in the home, but at least we've had the conversations and they kind of know what their options are. So many times, you know, we don't even know what all the options are that we have. You know, we try to get our kids involved in it. You know, I have 4 adult children and they love to explain to me how life really is. And I remember thinking I knew everything there was about for my dad. You know, I had really good intentions in my heart, but my dad knew what he wanted. And so, you know, sometimes when your kids are involved in the process, you know, they really do have good intentions for the most time, but they don't always talk to you. Sometimes they talk about you. It's almost like when you're in the same room, but they're discussing your situation without even including you. And, you know, lots of times the roles do get reversed, you know, and suddenly the parents become the children and the children become the parents. But sometimes the children try to assume that role when we're not ready for them to do that. And that's just kind of normal, you know. Sophia and Theresa would say we see that all the time when we're doing our consultations. That's just kind of one of the things that comes, and it's not new. If you know, if you happen to be going through that, you're not the only ones that are probably seeing that. So what is happening in the real estate market with COVID? I'm just going to talk real briefly about that, but believe it or not, houses are selling like crazy. We're not going to have, in most opinions, we're not going to have like we had in 2008. There are people buying houses. There aren't a lot of houses for sale. So especially seniors who are going to move into a community, they are in the best spot right now. We're seeing multiple offers on houses selling within 3 days. And people are, you know, waiving inspection periods because there's such a small amount of inventory. And the other thing that's happened, you know, we can take any situation, good or bad, and we can always find a silver lining in it. And that's kind of, number one, how my attitude is. And I've worked with Theresa a lot, and that's, believe me, that's exactly how, you know, she approaches it also. But one of the things that I've found is because so many people are working at home, they've suddenly found that that house was their dream house. And it looks like they're going to be working from home for the next 6 months or a year. Working at the dining room table no longer is working. So those people are thinking, you know what, we need to buy another house. And so we're seeing people that are having to make a move right now because of, you know, what's going on with COVID. And so because we have so many buyers, you know, seniors that are putting their houses on the market right now, you know, we're selling them really quickly. And it's really making that move into retirement community a really easy, smooth transition. And you can see that property values, you know, they're higher than they, you know, have been for even before 2008. So right now, this is from last month. So just to give you I have no idea what your house you may have purchased for it or what you think it's worth, but in the Portland market, almost $480,000 is the average price of a house that's sold right now. My wife and I just refinanced our house. In fact, we just signed the final papers yesterday. And our house in the last 2.5 years went up even, and I'm in the real estate business, and I was just shocked by how much it had gone up. And so what's happening for a lot of my seniors is that they are finding that they've got a lot more equity in their home and a lot more ability to use that money to move into the community. And so it's just really been, an interesting time we have right now. So you can see that, houses, the average time is only 42 days on the market. And, but we're also down like 15% as far as inventory goes. So we have 15% less homes than we did last year in June. And part of that, again, is because of the COVID situation. So every house that comes on the market is just a premium. So let's talk about the COVID just for a minute, because I know Teresa's going to talk about that. And, we all have our protocols. So what's happening right now for I've had people go, well, I don't want to put my house on the market because I don't want to be exposed to COVID. And then again, especially seniors, I am in the same age group as you guys. And so I'm also in that critical group that we have to really, be cautious. So what's happening now is when we list a house, besides just taking the professional photographs, we're actually having videos taken. That's a video tour. And I have actually sold houses to people that have never even been in the house. We've actually written the offer. And so virtual tours are happening a lot. And many of you, if you owned your house for quite a while, you may have even been back, and when you purchased your house, if it was long enough ago, the internet wasn't even really used where it is now. And what's happening now, in the old days, we would, a real estate agent would put the people in the car and we just drive around. We look at 10 houses today and 10 houses tomorrow, and then they would decide on which house. Well, now, because of the virtual tours that we have available, people are eliminating houses. So they will actually go online, look at the houses available in their price range in the area they want. And at that point, then they will decide, we only want to see this one and this one. So that's the first thing. And I just realized that I misspelled a word here. So the next thing we do is we do a pre-entry questionnaire. And with that pre-entry, we actually ask several questions. Have you had a fever? Is there anybody in the group, that's having any of these symptoms? And then we actually only allow 3 people in the house, the realtor and 2 of the buyers. And we don't let them drag the kids along or, their cousins. It's just 2 people. And we actually set up a station at the front door where they put on booties. They're not to touch anything in the house. The real estate agent will put on a pair of gloves, and then they will go through, and if something needs to be opened, the agent will do that with their gloves. And then when they leave, we have hand sanitizer there. And so we have just almost like a whole protocol. The other thing is because the market is so hot, generally that house is going to have all of the showings within the first 5 or 6 days, and we'll have an offer. So there again, the exposure to, or possible exposure, we've really tried to minimize as much as we possibly can. So let's just talk for a minute about millennials, because those are the people that are going to be buying your house. And they're the people that are 25 to 35, and they're the biggest market right now we have as buyers. They're the people that are working at Intel. They're most of the people that are working at Nike that we see right now. And, so they're the ones, there's 80 million of them, but they're figuring out ways to buy houses right now. And there again, the average price is $457,000. And what's really interesting is when my wife and I, when we were buying houses and raising our kids, we just looked at the house and we could care less what school district it is or where the school was. And now that almost the #1 driver is the school ratings. Every school now in the United States, but especially in the greater Portland metro area, all the schools have ratings from 1 to 10. And I have clients, I was working with them last weekend that we were looking, and they only had 2 specific schools that they would even look at houses at. And so that's, one of the big things that really is, important to these, especially these millennial buyers and these, parents of young children. And it still goes back. So we used to say location, location, location. That still is it, but now it's location in relationship to the schools. And then, the condition of the house, that's still very, very important. Millennials, for the most part, are not doing fixer-uppers. They want to move into it and just keep their life going. So when in the process, one of the things the senior real estate specialist is I have access to people that can help with any part of the process, whether we're talking about the downsizing, if we need to do some repair in order to get the house ready. If you're not quite sure where you're going to move, we have access to people that can help you with that. And it's just basic, excuse me, making sure that you're not making this move alone and that it's, as smooth as possibly can be. So there's 3 ways to sell your house as I kind of wrap up here. So one of them is, what? Let's get the movers in here, the downsizers, let's get everything out of the house, get it on the market and get it sold. It may be that the house, needs some fixing up, but you don't care. You're just ready to go. And we've got people that can, buy those houses without it hardly even hitting the market. But then there's also, we really need the house to be fixed up. Whether we do that, right now I'm working with some people that we've got some bathrooms that need to be updated before we can put it on the market. So as soon as they move into the community they're moving into, we've got a contractor all set up to come in and do that work so that we can get that house on the market within about 2 weeks. And it's a house that we probably will have sold within another 2 weeks. So within a month, that house will be, be empty, will be sold, and the people have gotten all of their money. The last thing is lots of times with that empty house, we may go ahead and decide to stage it, which is bring in furniture so that the vacant house looks more lived in, especially some houses, if they have an unusual layout. We want people to be able to visualize what the house would look like with furniture in it. And so we've got at least 3 different options of ways to sell the house. So Theresa's gonna deal with this a lot more, but hopefully your house doesn't look like this, but if it does, we can solve this also. So basically the process real quickly is we'll set up a game plan. We'll figure out what the first steps are, what's your house worth, where you're going to move, how you're going to downsize, getting the house ready to sell, selling it, and moving. Now, sometimes the moving happens before the selling. It just depends on everybody's individual situation. But there's not a one plan fits all when it comes to the moving into a retirement community. Every situation is different. And so we want to tailor make that. One of the things that I see happen sometimes is that I'll have someone and they've finally made the decision that they're going to move into Canfield. And so they make the decision and, they've come to an agreement with Sophia and her team. And then they go Sunday morning to church and they go, well, we've decided we're going to move into Canfield. And so what happens is, they're talking to their friends and their friend goes, well, my granddaughter just got her real estate license. Why don't we let her help you sell your house? And, that's a great idea. We can help her do that. One of the things that I'm finding especially when it comes with seniors is a lot of you now, you have your homes in a trust or some kind of different legal document than we had even 10 or 15 years ago. And the other thing that we find is sometimes there's only one of you there. You might be a widow and your spouse may still be on the title. Plus we've got lots of times we got the kids to kind of be involved in and the whole process. So that's why, the senior real estate specialty, that's exactly what kind of the schooling is for, to help us walk through all of those scenarios that may be a little bit different than the 35-year-old family that's just moving from one house to the next. So it's all about timing. Like we said, right now, the market is so hot that, you know, this is the time to do it if you're ready to do the other aspect of it. So, you know, you've earned a new lifestyle. Now you've got time to maybe not have to do that yard work and keep the house clean. And really, downsizing, moving out of the house really is, you know, freedom. No more maintenance. Many of you may have stairs in the house. And so, you know, it's just, if the timing is right, go for it. So I think with that, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to let Theresa take over.
Yeah, I'm still here. Thank you, Mike. That was great. You touched on a lot of really, really good points there. So I'm going to be a little quicker, and but not as funny. Mike is definitely more funny, she's funnier. Help me out here, people. He's funnier than I am. We'll just go with that. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. A couple of nods will tell me you can see it. Okay, so I am the founder of Soft Landing Solutions for Seniors. You make the key decisions, we guide you with gentle expertise, and we really mean that. I got into this business after being a CPA for 25 years and didn't even know that this industry existed. So, oh, I can't see Myra anymore, but I was going to say, for the other couple, have you even heard of a senior move manager before? You know, raise your hand if you have, or yeah, most people don't even know our industry exists. So that's my primary job, is to let people know we're out there, we can help, and what we can do. So after 25 years of being a CPA, I took a break. I have 3 kids, kind of was raising them and doing some other things. And then I helped my grandmother downsize and move. My grandmother has 10 kids. Why would she pick her 4th oldest grandchild? She knew I would listen and not fight with her and not argue with her. That's when we get into family dynamics like Mike was talking about. Not everybody can be on the same page. So I was really listening to her. We're very close. She's still alive. She's 90, she'll be 96 in October. And I just love her. So she said to me, you need to help other people like me, Theresa. I was like, what are you talking about? She went, you need to help other people like seniors, older people who don't want to work on a phone tree, you know, to get to somebody, or have 12 different people to call just because you're thinking about getting rid of your stuff and moving. And so I started researching it, and turns out there's an industry, and we have a national association. It's called the National Association of Senior Move Managers. And I just kind of went for it. I went, you know, I think that'll be more fulfilling, more challenging in many ways, and interesting, to use the expertise I have to help and serve that market. And so I started Soft Landing Solutions for Seniors 7 years ago. So very excited about that. We have went through all the steps of certification that we can possibly get. When certification come out to be a certified senior move manager, we got that. My team of 8 have been through all the same training that I have. The circle of service means we've been in business for 5 years, more than 5 years, it's been 7. And the best of the best is an A+ accreditation that our industry gives out. We only have about 80 people, companies right now that have that certification out of about 1,000 people that are part of our industry. So you're in good hands is what I'm saying. So a lot of people think downsizing, moving is very, very stressful, and it can be very, very stressful, but it doesn't have to be. We like to come in and help people with a variety of things I'll talk about, but mainly what we do is kind of help reduce your stress. So, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How I'm going to do all this? I have an attic full of stuff. I have a basement full of stuff, and I'm going to use the word stuff occasionally. And you know, everything in my shed out back, I don't use anymore. So there are ways to do it. You can do it yourself. You don't necessarily have to hire us to do it. So I'm going to give you some tips and tools today. But if you really want to reduce your stress level, then you probably should reach out to someone to help you. So why is there an industry at all of senior move managers? I think Mike touched on this a little bit. So, you know, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, even close to 20 years ago, we weren't as mobile as we are now. A lot of adult children don't live anywhere near where their parents are, grandparents are, or a lot of people never had children for one reason or another. You know, there's a lot of aunts and uncles out there that we help without children, and or people that are chosen, or for whatever life brought them, are alone. You know, they may need a little extra hand in getting through that. But in the past, you had family members or your community that can help you. It's not really available anymore. For instance, my brother is in New Jersey. I'm in Oregon. My sister's in Florida. My mom was living in Alabama. Oh my gosh, you know, how do we do that? But I've been through it with my own family twice now, with my grandmother and my mom. So I'm right there with you and know how to help. But primarily that's the reason things have changed, and things are online. Like Mike was talking about, how you buy and sell a house is completely different today than even, I would say, 10 years ago, Mike. I mean, it hasn't been that long. Everything's online. So I'm going to address COVID-19 very quickly. You know, with my background, I think it's really important, if you are really vested in what you're doing, to make sure you're doing the best job you can possibly do. So our national association came out with a COVID-19 certification, which we got. And all of my team members went through it. So we have protocols probably more than some communities do, probably not more than Canfield Place, but we have a lot of protocols. And in fact, there's a few communities we're not working in right now because it's just not, they're not meeting all the protocols we would like them to meet. But most communities are. We have masks, we have face shields, we have gloves, we have thermometers for taking temperatures. Throughout all of this, all of my team has stayed safe and not sick, and no one on my team has tested positive, and we like to keep it that way. And we'd like to keep anybody that we work with to have the same opportunity to stay safe and not be exposed to anything just because of our team. So we're really, really on top of that. We can do a virtual consultation as well. So a few people like you guys are a little tech savvy, and we can do a virtual consultation. You can walk us around your house with your phone or your iPad, and we can do it that way. Or we are coming to the home, socially distanced, both parties wearing masks. If you want to see more about our COVID-19 statement, you can go to our website. I'll have it at the end of our talk, and you can read our COVID-19 statement. And just, there are a few communities that are exclusive to only soft landings because we've done such a good job of our COVID-19 safety protocols, and I'm really proud of that. So you're in good hands. So when we start working with people, or if you're doing this yourself, one of the first things you need to do is what we call a space plan. And it kind of looks like the background you can see now. So say you decide to move into Canfield Place, and Sophia gives you your floor plan, and you just kind of stare at it. Or if you're a prior engineer, I might say you know what to do, but otherwise it might be difficult to figure out what fits and what doesn't fit. So doing some space planning, whether we do it or you do it, is invaluable. So we take the floor plan from the community you're moving into, put it on our magnetic board, take your wish list of furniture you might like to take, put it on our board. We have over 500 magnetic pieces. Move it around, see what fits and what doesn't fit. And that way, what Mike said earlier, the choice is still yours. You are still making the choices. Somebody else isn't making the choices for you. I'm going to piggyback on something you said earlier. I've never had anybody say, oh, I moved too soon. It's always, I waited too long to move. But this is part of your planning, and we can do it pretty quickly for you if you just want space planning, or you can do it yourself. There's a lot of tools that you can use that then you can show people kind of like what your new home's going to look like from a floor plan standpoint. So once we get our floor plan figured out and figure out what things are going, we talk about our bucket list. Does anybody have a bucket list? Show of hands. Anyone? Okay. All right. I'm not talking about your life bucket list, people. I'm talking about your bucket list of stuff. So everything in your home goes into a bucket. And if you want to just go ahead and break all of this down, we can do it into 5 things. So your attic, your basement, your shed, things in your home, your photo albums, all of that can go into one of these 5 buckets. I'm going to talk briefly about those. So you want to keep it. That's your first bucket. You've decided you want to keep it. It is a treasure of yours. You cannot part with it. It's really important to you. And that cannot be everything in your home, but there are pieces that fit that. And you've measured it and you know it fits, and so that is wonderful. You have made the choice to keep it, you know it fits, you get to keep the treasure and it makes you happy. So that's our first bucket. Our second bucket is give it to family. That is a picture of the Griswold family, in case you don't recognize that. And that's what most families are like. Most families are dysfunctional. There's very few families that are all together and agree on everything all of the time. They do exist. There are a few out there, but most families are like this. So if you do have a large family, and people actually want your stuff, which is amazing and good for you, then there's a website you can go to called bearsplit.com where you can put pictures up. We can help with this. And then everybody can say, I like it, no thank you, or, I'm on the fence, something like that. So there are tools to get it out to family if you're lucky enough that your family wants some of your things. The next thing is the bucket is to sell things. So our first bucket is you're going to keep it. Our second bucket is you're going to give it to family or friends. Your third one is you're going to try to sell it. So that is actually the second question we get from people all the time. What do I do with all my stuff? That's and once they've decided to move, or how do I sell things? Selling things has become very, very complicated lately, especially for our seniors. Not everybody's vulnerable, but a lot of people are vulnerable, and you got to make sure you stay safe, especially in COVID-19 right now, and to stay physically safe. So at the top of the food chain, you have an estate sale. How can you have an estate sale? Well, you need to have enough value in your home to have an estate sale. And value comes from household goods, things in the kitchen, things in the garage, things in the shed, those kind of items, not necessarily your furniture. And if you haven't heard that from anyone else yet, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But if you have brown furniture in your house, and that's what we call brown furniture, it's going to be difficult to sell. But we can do, hold on, wait for it, donate it. So that's okay. We donate a lot of things. A lot of donation centers are back open now, and we can make sure it gets to the right place and it finds a new home. So again, I'm just going to say you're going to keep it, you love it, it fits, you're going to give it away to family and friends, which I highly encourage. You're going to try to sell it either through an estate sale or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or all these other things. We also work with auction people who can come in and walk through your house and give a bid on emptying your house. and they'll take it to auction. So sometimes there's a small fee for that because of the volume that's involved, and sometimes there's not. So there's many ways to get the home empty once you've decided to move and you have moved. Again, then donate it. We were working a lot with Habitat for Humanity and Community Warehouse. Community Warehouse is back up and running, and I've seen a few Habitat for Humanity trucks now, so I think we can donate to them again. But whatever your favorite charity is, we can help with that. So paper, there's a lot of paper in our homes, everyone's home. And I'm not picking on seniors. We all accumulate stuff, all of us, of every age and generation. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm not a millennial, not quite, in the older group yet. I'm a Generation X. But everybody keeps paper, whatever it is. So we're really good at sorting through that, shredding what needs to get shredded, recycling what can get recycled. Anything else that's in the home that's torn, stained, or broken, we can get that disposed of. So if you are thinking about moving soon and moving to a community, that's the easiest place to start. If something's torn, broken, doesn't work anymore, or you've gone through your paper, just go ahead and get rid of it now, because you can't donate it and you can't sell it if it's torn, stained, or broken, and if it's personal paper. So kind of get ready to start there. Okay, Ohio. Does anybody know what this means? You can raise your hand. It's not the state. Only handle it once. Okay, so, thank you. Yeah, try to make a decision when you're going through your things. Get some colored dots. Oh, I was going to show you some, but those colored dots that you get at Fred Meyer, Walgreens, whatever. Get some colored dots, because you're not physically able to move things right now. You can put some dots on there that tells you which bucket it belongs in, and that way when you have some physical help. Okay, it's marked red. That means I don't want it. Please get it out of my house. If it's marked in yellow, we have a special charity that we want to give this to. Those kind of things. You can also use dots for family members as well. But try to make a decision if you can while you're sorting. Always start now. That is the answer to this question. Yesterday is too late. Tomorrow is also too late. Because if you start now, you again have choices. You get to make the decisions. You might need some help making some of those decisions. It's not always easy, I know, giving up stuff, but it's your choice. And later on, it might not be your choice, because we've moved a number of people that don't have choices anymore. So do it now. Do it tomorrow. I have a quick little video here. I hope you can see it. It's pretty short, but it tells you a lot about what a day in a senior move manager is like, and it's better than me telling you everything we do.
It's really more than a move. It is a life transition, and we're so honored to be able to touch them and help them throughout this part of their life.
Every client is different. They have their own individual needs. And what we're really trying to do is move them in the most comfortable, safe, and productive fashion.
One of the things that we're trying to achieve is to make your move as stress-free, as smooth as possible.
We actually manage the process everywhere from floor plan design to helping manage the logistics of the movers and the moving process. We help to downsize and declutter, pack it up, move it, set it up, put it all back together, recreate the space that they used to live in so it kind of feels like home.
It was all put together. It was beds were made, things were put away. There was a note every place to show you where everything was.
One of the greatest things about what we do every day is interacting with the family and working together side by side with them to be able to provide the support so that the kids can come in and truly support the parents through this process in a way that's helpful and beneficial, instead of ending up in conflict over deciding what will go and what will not go.
NASM is so important because we ensure quality, we ensure that people have minimum standards, that they have insurance, that they've gone through some education. And if there is a problem, there's also an ethics committee that they can fall back on to call. We can rearrange things in the home or add a few items to the home to allow somebody the ability to safely stay in their home.
The one thing that people misconceive is that move management is expensive, but it's really not.
We do everything a la carte. We can do a full solution move, or we can just do parts of a move. So if families feel like they can do part of the packing or part of the unpacking and hanging the pictures, then we can just do, some of the moving and the design. So really, we can fit anybody's budget, really, to try to help to reduce the stress and the pressure of the move.
They owe it to themselves to have a smooth transition and get on with their life.
I couldn't have made this transition without her.
Okay, thanks for indulging me. Here's just kind of a brief list of the things that we do. We always do a no charge, no obligation, 1 hour consultation for people just to get started. That can be a year before you decide to downsize and move, or it can be as soon as you've picked you're going to move to Canfield Place and it'll be next month. We work on very short timelines or very long timelines, just depending on the need. So I'll let you kind of look at that a little bit. We do everything that you could possibly need help with. And we have our own supplies. We bring everything in and then we take everything out when we're done. That's my team. It's been updated a little bit, or I need to update a little bit, but it's pretty much still kind of like that. We all are women in our 40s and 50s who helped a family member do this at some point in time. And we're kind of superheroes, or we're moving fairies, however you want to look at it. So this referred to NASM. If you have friends that are in other parts of the country that might be moving to the Portland area or the Tri-County area, or actually just the Northwest, we can help them here. But if they're in Arizona or Texas or in the Northeast, you can go to this website and type in your zip code to see who else can help in those areas. And then this is how you reach me. So that's our phone number, our website, and email. You can get me directly if you take that info out and just put in Theresa with an H, and you'll get me directly. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now unless somebody says, hold on. Okay, we're good. And hand it back over to Mike.
I think actually, did you guys have any questions? You can unmute yourself if you had any questions.
I can unmute all right now. How's that?
Yeah, why don't you do that right
Okay.
quick.
Well,
Robert, you guys are still muted.
yeah, I can't do
I have a question for Theresa.
Here.
And that is, what do you mean by a scaled floor plan?
Yeah,
That was on one of the slides.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of floor plans we get are not necessarily to scale. We often go in and measure ourselves to make sure that it actually matches, because in fact, I think Sophia could address this too. Not every apartment is the same at Canfield Place. Right, so you have a set number of floor plans you can have out, but every apartment doesn't have its own floor plan. So you want to make sure that is actual, and then when you put it on your grid, it matches to scale. Like we use 1/4 inch to a foot. So if there's 8 feet of wall space, then there's 8 1/4 inch plots that go on our board. Does that help? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have anything?
I guess I would just maybe ask your opinion for Michael.
Yeah.
If today, if a home sale if it's better to be completely empty, or are you still being able to sell homes that are neatly organized, clean, at the top of their mark, so to speak?
I prefer a house that is well organized with furniture in it, because then people can have a good feel for how everything lays out, and then they can picture. One of the challenges, let's take bedrooms for example. If you guys, if a homeowner has a queen size bed and it's in it, then people know that. If we just have an open room that's 10 by 12, we don't know if, people are wondering, well, I wonder if my bed will even fit in there. They end up trying to get a tape measure or whatever. So I find that that's the main thing. Is I want people to take all their personal pictures. It's interesting. My opinion has changed on this, like everybody else. I used to think it was great to have the pictures in there, but I was showing a house with some people, and rather than paying attention to the house, they were trying to figure out and kind of do the backstory of who lived there, and so, oh, well, these must be their grandkids and this must be that. And so I pretty much, changed my tune on that. Now, I will say that sometimes I've had some seniors whose houses are very clean, but the furniture is very, very dated and maybe worn. And so sometimes we may suggest gently that some of those pieces at least go into the garage for a while. And the other thing is, people go, do we need to put stuff in storage? And, lots of houses are stuffed full, the garages are stuffed full of boxes. And I'm sure Theresa does this all the time.
We can also help declutter ahead of time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, even before the move. You guys do that all the time. Lots of times it's a two-step process where you'll come in and pack some of the stuff, and some of it may end up in the garage. We don't care if the garage is stuffed to the rafters, because people don't really care as much about that. They can kind of tell, yeah, my car will fit in there or it won't. But other than that, yeah. So, yeah. So a house that's put together good is still the best.
Okay, appreciate that very much.
Hey, Mike, I have a question that might be applicable to everyone here. What is the closing date for a lot of homes right now? Is it short or is it long?
It's taking about 45 days. Unless we have a cash buyer, it's about 45 days. What's happening is all the lenders, all of their key people are all working from home. And so where before a lender could carry the paperwork down the hall to a processor, just everything's taking longer. The same thing with, the appraisers. Because of COVID, it's taking them longer to do everything is just slowed down to a little bit. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sophia, do you have anything to add?
I just want to thank you all for participating and joining us. And your points truly are spot on. Being in the industry for 20 years, and I'm going to have to steal the quote. I think it was yours, Mike. Procrastinate now and panic later. We know statistically that over 90% of people that move into assisted living are waiting far too long. It's been an event. They haven't had a choice. And I would encourage all of you, myself included, and I'm beginning my downsizing, to be empowered to make the decision when you can participate and enjoy the process and make wonderful new friends. You're not going to lose the old ones. You're just going to find new ones.
All right, great.
All right. Well, I think we're done.
Yeah, it was a very informative presentation. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well
Thank you,
done.
guys.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.